3, 2, 1. Good evening. This is Animal on Control. Welcome to the voice chat. As always, these calls are being recorded, and by joining, you're consenting to being recorded. Anyone wishing to join a call should email me at animaloncontrol@gmail.com, and I will send you a Discord invite with instructions. Today's topic, Yulin Meat Festival wrap-up, Tuesday voice chat post-mortem, and potpourri. Joining me, I have Johnson, Chef, and Joe, aka Animal Abuse in Hungary. Welcome. Thanks for joining. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
It's always a blast. Always a blast. I wanted to, I put out the video on, I guess last weekend on, international mutt meat cuisines. And actually, Joe, thanks for the tip on the ClipChamp, because that's what I did. I downloaded that. That's my first ClipChamp video.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I never used it before, but it's pretty intuitive stuff. I know, and folks have been asking, how can I create a video like that? So that's what, Joe and I have been using. We use a ClipChamp, which is, I use it on Windows, but I guess it would work on, in most operating environments. And actually, that content was pretty labor intensive, particularly at all the cuts, all the different graphics and so forth. Really, the most difficult thing was getting through it without just dissolving into laughter, because probably the hardest one was the Rover Rancheros. But in any case, I was thinking about, so Chef, when's the last day of the Yulin Mutt Meat Festival, or Meat Festival, or whatever you call it? Do you know?
It ends today. Today is the last day. Mm-hmm.
Man, that's sad. It's just sad. But you got to think, the fact that it only comes once per year is what makes it so special. Right? It's like Christmas. Christmas for every day, it would be no big deal. So, if they had the Mutt Meat Festival year round, it wouldn't be as special as it is. So,
they eat meat throughout the year.
I'll have to interject. I think it would only be good if it was like Hanukkah. It need longer.
Longer, yeah. Well, we have the 12 days of Christmas. We could have the 12 days of mutt meat. I was thinking, and this is talk about high effort trolling, and it might take until Christmas to come up with a parody of the 12 days of Christmas, but with dog meat cuisines, on the first day of Christmas, right? My true love gave to me, a puppy roni pizza, right? And you just keep going like that.
Yes.
That would be really something. Again, high effort. But in any case, so just to wrap that up, I know some folks, pursuant to that video I put out, there was a ton of good contributions from the commenters, and I thought of a few more myself, but I didn't want to make that video too long. So here's what we've come up with. So the commenters contributed the following: Australian Shepherd Pie, Puppy Rona Pizza, and Mozzarella. So, and here's some surplus of mine. We have Akita Ahogado, stir-fried Shih Tzu, poached poodle, Pomeranian Primavera, Labrador Lo Mein.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. And I ate already, fortunately. And last but not least, filet de Fido. Pursuant to all that, I want to do a book review real quick. Maybe we could do a deep dive into this later. I'm going to, at least I can do a share. What do I have up? Let me bring this up. Hold on. You're going to appreciate this. Basically, both of the chefs, because we have chef uppercase C and we have chef lowercase c, Johnson, who actually works as a chef. But you're going to appreciate this. This is quite the doozy. I don't know if anybody has heard of this, but hold on a second. Let me, like I said, I have some alcoholic beverages going, so I'm not like 100% with it. And this was the book I wanted to review. It's the Roadkill Cookbook. Can you folks see this? Yeah, this is, I don't know if you've heard of this. This is, actually, my mom bought a copy of this. This was published back in the 80s. And it
was.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you're right, because this could not be published today. Mainly because at least one of these, and I don't know, maybe they've done like revisions, but I recall that the original printing of this had dog roadkill recipes in it. But the thing was, it says in the, I think if you look it up on Amazon, I think it says it's like international or something. And that's not my recollection. The recollection is these were actual real recipes. But it not only got into like how to cook them, how to prepare them, but also how to take them out. Like it got into the whole choice of vehicle. And I recall that the best choice of vehicle for this activity, you get a really old school American car, like an old, like say a Ford Galaxy or a Chrysler Imperial, right? Body on frame construction, heavy duty bumper, large displacement V8, which also actually does double duty. So you would, nail your dinner, right? And then what you would do is you would dress it, you would skin it and gut it, put spices and salt on it and so forth, wrap it up in foil, and then you would put it in the V of the car's engine, right? Because a V8 configuration. So you would drop this, your prepared, roadkill in the V, and then you drive around and the heat from the engine would cook it.
Yeah, and they also dubbed as what is that? Propulsion device. If you decided not to wear your seatbelt, you became part of the circus.
But I remember I think this was published in, I did some research on it, 87 maybe, but at least I remember, and maybe the newer versions don't have it. It wouldn't surprise me if they took it out, but the old version had at least one dog recipe in here.
Well, it probably came out the same time as the Antarctic Cookbook as well. So there was a lot of obscure books that came out of that.
Yeah. This was, well, the thing about really it's comedy. I mean, this was it's funny. It's hysterical. But the problem is like today, people take that stuff so seriously that, we would appreciate, anybody in our community would get it. I mean, it's just gut busting hilarious, really. I mean, that's my recollection. But anyways,
that should be not to cut you off. That should be a topic one day on where did all these feelings come from? And it seems like with the rise of this dog culture, everybody just turned into like a super simp. Like, you cannot say bless you anymore without someone taking offense with it. So I start saying gesundheit because people wouldn't accept saying bless you.
Right. Yep. But anyway, this book is recommended. I'm thinking I might buy another copy. I don't know if the copy that my family had is still floating around, but yeah, it was funny. I mean, really, the purpose is comedy, but supposedly, the two chefs might appreciate it. Supposedly, these were real recipes. Like, you could actually make these things. Oh, my dog. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. The other day we had a voice chat and we included, and I'll just call him, it was our favorite YouTuber, and everybody knows who I'm talking about. So we had because he'd been invited actually multiple times, and he came, he showed up, and we had, what was it? It was a 37-minute conversation with him. And for folks wondering, for now, I have chosen, now all of you, well, actually, wait, who's on the call? Let me double check. Okay, so it's the four of us. So we were, we were all on the call, and I've chosen to not publicly share any specific artifacts due to the toxic nature of it. The type of activity indicated is sort of in a gray area legally. Probably depends on what state you're in. Actually, I want to talk to an attorney about it. But, one of the issues is if you include, a minor in a conversation like this, right? So, like, what are we doing? We're a special interest group. We, record these group calls for uploading to social media to share, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. And, the special interest in question, there's nothing like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's, public policy relating to domestic animals in society. That's the interest, right? It's not, it has nothing to do with sex or violence or anything like that, right? It's pretty straightforward civic nationalistic kind of stuff, right? But anyway, so that's the topic. But I was wondering, what are the implications of including a minor in a call like that? And actually, many of us, we've done due diligence on it. It seems like it's kind of a gray area. I actually want to talk to an attorney about it, and not just about the conversation the other day, but even going forward. One thought I'd had is, the participant the other day is what I would call, nominally hostile, right? Someone who, is not friendly to our interests, but we might get a minor who is. You might get a 15-year-old who is, like I said, friendly to our interests. Somebody who, again, like us, has very real, very personal reasons for getting into the space. Like, for example, they can't sleep at home because of their parents' dogs. Okay. And if they try to talk to somebody about it, maybe another family member or a teacher at school, they get they start playing the barking dog bingo. Well, that's how dogs communicate, and the dog's doing his job, and dogs bark, it's what they do, and blah, 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 blah. And so it might be interesting for somebody like that to talk to us, maybe get some information on how to manage that problem. But again, it's a gray area, because particularly in this area, because, what we're, involved in is so politically incorrect. So I don't know if you folks had any thoughts on that.
Yeah,
you guys still there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it is definitely sensible to get some legal advice, because I would actually really like to see that chat being published, because I think it was an absolute gem, and I know that loads of people on our side were very upset after it, but I think it was actually a great.
Well, I think interesting you should bring that up. It really, actually, after the fact, I think, at least the folks, again, we've been keeping this tight to within the, I'll call it the inner party, the participants. And, going into it, I had a few folks, I had some chats in the background, people telling me like, this is a suicide mission. Like, don't do it, man. Please don't do it. Anyway, coming out, I thought, ye of little faith, because, coming out, folks are like, wow, you handled that really well. I don't mean to sit here and blow my horn, but it's like, yeah, I don't always shit post and flame troll. I just do it often, right? I mean, I can actually be very professional if I choose to be. It's just that most of the time I choose not to be.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, if you looked at the call, I mean, 98% of us were on mute besides the two of you. So it was almost like into dropping two rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't really any reciprocity being performed because it just didn't never seem to register to that person. And like yourself, I spoke with someone outside, just plainly my mother, and the part that I got as I was trying to, rationalize it in my head is that the maturity level that person needs to be on is not on ours. And I understand what he was saying, but I really couldn't say that. He was referring to on IHD when we're going back and forth jokingly about that Mutt being euthanized. That's what we were talking about. To that person saw it as, oh, this is a funny space to get into, when we were actually referring to a very adult thing, doing it in a very childish way. But when you don't have the maturity and the clarity to understand what we're saying in the context, it's never going to register.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you're right, because like we're functioning on a much higher level than really any of them. Yeah.
That's why I don't ever respond to trolls, hardly ever, because they just don't have the kind of mental capacity to register or understand what we're talking about, just like what Mr. Johnson was saying.
Yep. Yeah, they don't. I think the thing is that one thing I wanted to sort of segue into is that, these internet conflicts can, escalate into, real world issues, real world problems. I usually can say, well, don't feed the trolls, but sometimes this isn't all in the virtual space. It can leak into the real world also. I remember this before I got into the space. I had an acquaintance, and he got into this was outside of this space, but he got into this flame war with not really a flame war, but it was, an internet debate with this other person who really didn't like what he had to say. And that person managed to, get his identity and actually contacted his employer and demanded he be terminated. That's my understanding of how it played out. Yes. And that stuff happens. But, even to say, well, don't talk to them, but you got to realize these people are really hostile to what we're doing. So it's not even a question of you just ignore them. They're just going to, keep escalating until they get some kind of outcome that's satisfying to them. But, with that said, I have another story. I had a peer blogger last decade, and I had I brought up Hilder a bunch of times, but it wasn't him. But there was another peer blogger who really her thing, she wasn't really like anti-dog or dog culture. She was anti-dog fighting, anti-fighting dog proliferation. That was her focus. And we were pretty well acquainted. Might even say we were friends. But what happened was, and I couldn't find this story, but last decade was the decade of the celebrity mauler. And I reported a few of them, like Mick the Mauler. Mick was kind of like the Ted Bundy of dog maulers, but this had nothing to do with Mick. But anyway, so here is a scenario. So this teen pit mommy has been training her pit bull to be a service dog. And you're thinking, yeah, like that's going to work. It's kind of like a bunch of 10-year-olds building a rocket ship to fly to Mars. So I think the dog's name was Tater Tot or something like that. I forget the details. Take all this with a grain of salt. I might be making a couple of small mistakes, but just kind of stay with the gist of it. So anyway, so this and this had become, this had, it was spewing all over social media like Twitter and Facebook and the like. So this teen pit mommy, she's been training this pit bull to be a service dog. The dog bites somebody, at least one person. So, of course, the county, wants to put the dog down. She and her parents are fighting to save the dog and so forth and so on. So my friend, our peer blogger, says, you know what? I'm going to grill this kid like a 4th of July hamburger, right? I'm going to roast her like a Thanksgiving turkey, okay? Because I'm gonna go after this kid. So this whole internet flame war ensued, and what happened was, my understanding was there were threats made of possible or potential cyber bullying or cyber stalking claims from, this kid and her parents, against my friend, right? But you got to realize what this kid was doing. This kid was, abusing laws meant to help the disabled and literally physically injuring people in the process. This is a crime. These are crimes being committed. Right. And as usual, nothing's done about it. Right. It's allowed to just fester and escalate forever. But the point I'm trying to make is that, there are some high stakes here. And going back to the other day, I did want to relate to our, favorite YouTuber that what he's doing could, escalate beyond his ability or even his family's ability to manage it, right? Particularly pulling in this Leo Smathers person and the like, because you get into stuff like that, it can have, some very serious consequences. So.
I think with the call that we had the other day, we were all very respectful, except for, our guests. So ultimately it's up to you. It's your recording. It's your platform. But I feel like it makes our community look good in comparison to who our opponents are, because it's not like, we weren't throwing out insults like, oh, you're just a dog fucker. It's like, we were very civil, so I wouldn't consider that as cyberbullying by any means.
No, not at all. I guess the only thought was, there's a couple of thoughts I had. Oh yeah, it does, totally. Totally. And that was my whole, because you remember, I said, I was on the Discord and I set the ground rules. It's like, conversation is going to be PG rated. There'll be no discussion of any sexual matters or anything like that. And I didn't know for a fact. I said, we're probably dealing with a minor. My only thought is that, is somebody in that age bracket able to consent to this? And the whole thing, I need to talk to a lawyer, because, it's not a one-on-one conversation. Like, for example, Florida is a 2-party state. So if I call you, right, and I want to record the conversation between us, I have to ask you, do you consent to being recorded, right? And only then can I record it. Some states are 1-party, consent. Really, the whole purpose is to, curb or discourage eavesdropping. But it gets a little spicy when the other party is a minor, right? Because can they actually consent to something like that? The other thing to consider too, it's a group conversation, right? It's sort of a quasi-public conversation. It's almost like we're sitting at a table in a restaurant or at a picnic table in a park. So, and also you wonder, Two is I don't want to use a minor to pursue our agenda, if that makes any sense. Because one takeaway from that too is, this kid is being used by somebody to pursue our opponent's agenda, and that is really creepy stuff. It almost it freaks me out, literally, that's what's happening. But
you know what? That is a very good defense, and I would second that because because Chef and I were just on IHD's new live feed, had to jump off to get on your call, but there was some points he was bringing up that how are we not knowing that these people aren't doing these things? I mean, obviously they'll lie. They'll
Sure.
send their children out to lie for them so they can
Yep.
keep a Mutt around. Who knows what lengths they'll go to?
Oh, they'll go to any lengths. There's something. Some of these people are genuinely really sick, perhaps even evil. It was interesting with a call the other day because my thesis had been from the beginning was that somebody, he's essentially a straw man or a tool for somebody. And I thought it might actually be his parents, but apparently not. His parents don't know that he's doing it. But again, the real clown is in the background, and they're doing it because they do things like this. Like, for example, if there is a bad outcome, the lawsuit's filed, or if it escalates to real world violence, that person can just sort of fade into the background, right? And our buddy is left holding the bag.
Sounds about Nutter.
Yep. But yeah, the whole thing was, I found it, kind of deeply disturbing in a way. Not to. There's something very, very wicked about this whole thing. And I'm kind of maybe going off on a different topic or a tangent, but this dogs in society. I don't mean animals. It's like, look, 99.99% of these bad outcomes involve dogs. The other 1 time in 10,000 is something else. But with that said, it seems like there's an intent here to create or maximize human suffering, right? Pain, anguish, loss, grief, economic losses, right? It's almost as if they want to create a hell on earth. I mean, and I'm not a religious person, but if the devil himself were behind this, it would not surprise me at all.
Well, I mean, look at what's going on. I mean, Joe just had a video. I don't know if it was recent or not. I just discovered it about how you said that you had to take a walk because there was just so many dogs barking. You couldn't even get peace at home. How that is like such an invasion of your own peace. Because if your home is not your sanctuary, what else is?
Yep, it's torture. Hey, Joe, you there?
We're the problem.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Who else? Oh, we got Darkcastle's on. What's up,
Darkcastle is
man?
here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
Hey.
we were
Hello.
just, I don't know how long you've been on. We were talking about the conversation the other day. So, did you have any thoughts on that? I know you were listening in, so.
Just what I wrote in the Discord. I think you handled it really well, and now I'm curious to know who that person is that's manipulating him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, because you were talking about that, you think like, okay, this kid's like a nobody, but it's similar to how authorities roll up criminal cartels. Is you start with a small fish and work your way up. So I guess behind him is some kind of medium fish. It would be really interesting to see if whoever that were associated with one of these doggy NGOs like Bad Rap or Best Friends or similar. That would be really interesting. But you know,
Now
he said,
that brings
well,
up another
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just like that flashback. Like I'd worked at a Chevron in Calabasas, and the highway patrol, what they do is they get young cops that look like they're teenagers, and they come in and they'll try to buy alcohol and cigarettes. They're
Yep.
fishing. Is he a fish?
Maybe. I think too is what probably the thinking behind it. I mean, if it is something like that, is that, you know, if they can get kids to be their proxies, there's not really much you can do to them. You know, because kids, you know, we're talking about they're not treated like adults or, you know, felons. They're not really like accountable for what they do, not fully accountable. So they're like, yeah, they can just use people like that.
It
I'm
could
sure-
even be another kid, because I remember it could have been a year or 2 years ago. Ashley had this one kid. I think he was like, must have been like 10 years old or something. And he made
Wow.
a stupid hate video about Ashley, and he had a bunch of these alts. And I remember in one of the comments he left on my channel, he put a link to this, you know, the Leo Smathers guy. So it could be that kid.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I-
that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember this person's channel name. It was like Wow the Kid Romancin or something, but it
Huh.
could be that kid that's sending SSR all these information saying like, oh, you should totally do a video on that, because I see other people on his channel saying, oh, I have this screenshot of somebody encouraging animal abuse. Can you talk about it? So
Yeah.
it's like SSR, like you were saying, he's kind of like somewhat of a showman.
Yeah, well, he's
And then also his facts. He didn't have any facts. Like every time you asked him a question, he couldn't come up with anything. He just kept referring to IHD and to Chef's videos. Like you didn't have any points or facts for anything.
Yeah, he did it. Well, you're right, because he's almost totally vapid, which makes me think that he's just being used by
Somebody's feeding him.
Yeah, because I've been in and out of this space for a while. What I found is like, you know, your true dog nutters are actually very passionate about their interest, and I did not get that vibe from him at all. I did not. You know, because I might have been lectured because it's like, well, you know, if you don't worship dogs, you're like some kind of monster. I didn't get that from him at all. I mean, if I
and he had dogs.
Well, he had dogs, but not everybody that has, particularly as a minor. I mean, not everybody with a dog in a house is necessarily like a level 5 dog foamer. I didn't get that vibe from him at all.
But he said that one of the dogs was his and the other one was his mother's.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
I got a very good memory. I might puff a lot, but I ain't gonna forget shit.
Yeah. I think I said something to the tune of, well, you know, it's a family dog, but maybe like, his mom is really the dog is her baby, you know, not her human kids. But some folks was, you know, Joe, you had a lot of really good things to say about, you know, your impression of him. Would you want to, you know, maybe share that?
Oh, well, thanks. I thought quite a bit about that conversation, and I don't know why. It's probably also because it kind of had also this kind of feeling that it's just a bit creepy, the whole thing.
It was.
And excuse me. So now first of all, you know, going back to the thing that Johnson said is that this was also an example where you could just see that he's one of these people apparently who just cannot take any differing opinion. So there just seems to be a generation now who's just completely incapable of accepting that there are people out there who perhaps do not share your opinion, you know. And I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I mean, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and I mean, yeah, for us it was just normal that, you know, of course, not everybody's going to share your opinion, and then you just go on with your day.
Yeah.
And so I mean, this conversation was a good example of somebody who is, or who has grown up in this kind of social media environment, and it just seems they just grow up with this notion that, you know, everybody who even slightly disagrees with you, as you said, has to be reported, you know, and has to lose his job, and
Yep.
has to suffer dire consequences and everything. So, I mean, that was the first thing that I kind of noticed, that that it's very weird. And the other thing is that also you just notice that these people often they don't really understand that that online stuff that they are engaging in, that there are actually real people behind that, you know.
Yep.
That
Yep.
he's not just talking to avatars and not just talking to pictures of, you know, of leopards, like Chef has one, or Mr. Johnson has a picture of a car, and then there are just virtual beings. But these are actually people, actual people there, who have a story, and who have a reason to do what they do,
Yep.
and who probably also have 10 times as much life experience as you personally do.
Yep.
And it seemed to me that he was just completely struck by, and he was completely overwhelmed by the fact that he's like a minor, and but sitting there with a bunch of adults. And I got the impression that just during the call he realized what he got himself into.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
was just totally lost, and as Johnson said, absolutely no facts. Like he wasn't able to you know, to answer anything, and then he just tried to revert back to this stupid sexual insult with the, you know, with the masturbation to animal abuse. And he was also completely surprised that nobody got angry, you know, because
Yeah.
he's
Well,
you know, that you were just sitting there, you know, like dads and moms, and just telling him that, yeah, come on, I mean, you're just making a fool of yourself.
yeah. The impression I got, or the thought I had, or the word I would use is feral. You know, it's somebody who, and it's probably true of many of them, you know, that ilk, is totally unsocialized. Because you
Yeah.
think about what happened, or forget about even the other day, but even going back to when he first got into our space, was, I mean, we didn't know this person. You know, he injected himself into our space. Like, how did it start? Well, he started making, you know, outrageous accusations, right, against AAiH, and, you know, making, you know, essentially hurling like lewd insults at people. So here you've got this kid, he injects himself into a group of adults, and again starts with this stuff, you know, making lewd insults. Like Chef said, really, it's like sexual harassment is what it is. Because
Yeah.
if you're in an office setting, boom, fired if you pulled that shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I said. I mean, I think at least twice I said. The first time I was like, look, she said, well, why do you beat off to, you know, animal abuse? It's like, look, let's keep this civil, okay? I agreed to keep it civil. You need to keep it civil. And then, you know, as it progressed, he said, can I say something? And at first I said, like, no, I forbid it, you know. But then I said, all right. Like, what's on your mind? He said, why do you beat off to animal abuse? And I said, look, you know, I even told the other folks, I put this on the Discord, all of you read it. I said, you know, I laid down the ground rules for this. So I said, look, you know, that kind of shit is going to get boom, gone. Okay. No sex stuff. I didn't think,
Okay.
Chef, the sexual harassment angle. I hadn't really crystallized that thought, but that's what it is. Don't bring that into the. That's what I brought up too. It's like, I don't want to talk about any zoophilia stuff or anything like that. It's a very adult topic, and obviously, I mean, not every dog person is into it, so I don't want to just throw that out. It's kind of irresponsible. So, but yeah, it's like he brought at least twice. He just threw that. It's like, why do you beat off to animal abuse? It's like you can't talk to. I'm telling you, if I were a kid, my parents would have beat the shit out of me if I talked to an adult like that. But I'm saying he's feral. He's totally unsocialized. He's doing this stuff with no adult supervision at all.
Mm.
I totally called that he was going to do that. I knew for a fact that was going to be the first thing he'd ask. You saw my message before the call started.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. Oh yeah, totally. Because, yep, yeah. So.
Well, that's usually what young people do. They flash you. Hey, I'm gonna flash you. That's gonna shock me. I've seen that before. Nice try. Go do something new.
0 out of 10. Must try harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you try putting some color on that, buddy? Might work better for you. I see why women aren't impressed.
Well, there was interesting because a lot of it's weird how this comes up because, like I said, I've been in and out of this space for a while, and it seems like it's very common for them to bring up the sexual perversion stuff. And I remember I was maybe it was middle of last decade, and that was when I was blogging about Mick the Mauler. And I think it was on Discuss, and I said, Mick needs to be put down. All dogs that maul and kill need to be put down. And somebody posted a reply. I don't have it. It would probably be difficult to find. But he said, to me, this is what this dog nut troll said to me. He said, you're like the guy in the black van handing out candy to kids. And I was like, how the hell did you get there? From what I'm saying, it's like, look, I think, okay, and I say about it, a bear that mauls, okay, take it out. How do you get from that to child molestation? Talk about connecting the dots. How do you get there? But it's not uncommon. And then that's what made my brain go off. It was when they brought this up, when they were accusing, AAiH of being this Leo Smathers person. It's like, what is it with that? Why did it has nothing to do with the topic at hand. Nothing. But yet they bring it up. And the only one thing I can think of, and I'm just playing the armchair psychologist, is it's projection. These people have some kind of sexual hang up.
Ooh, well, you would have to, that's almost like what Freud said about this Freudian slip. You say under your breath what you really mean to say consciously.
Yep. Yeah, I know when we had, you talk about age brackets, but when I was a kid, in elementary school, we had a saying, thou who smelt it, dealt it. And it was a reference to projection. And what it meant was, say you were the group of kids, the first kid to pinch his nose and say, who farted? That's the farter, right? So the first one to bring up the farting is the farter. It's projection, right? So I'm thinking these people have, because they're bringing it into, it's like, I didn't want to talk about sex at all. It has nothing to do with this. It's public, where I'm coming from, it's public policy involving animal control. It has nothing to do with sex or romance or anything even remotely like that. It's always, every time somebody brings that into the conversation, it's always one of them. So what does that tell?
They think that's the best they have.
I guess. I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe they're just throwing something out there because they have nothing else. But
that's my
Yeah,
theory.
it's like what
also.
Joe was
It's just
saying.
like the worst thing they can think of to call
Yeah.
you. And the other theory is that I mean, it's kind of a stretch, but they think like not liking dogs is weird. And if you're weird, you're also the type of person that would drive around in a van and give candy to children or whatever.
yeah, it's freakish. Yeah, well, they think that, and I've been accused of that too. It's like, if you don't just adore dogs unconditionally, there's something wrong with you. Like, literally, you're genetically defective.
Yeah, they would put us in like a psychiatric hospital for not liking dogs if they could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they would. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's ridiculous, you know. And Joe brought up a good point. We all in our different age brackets, but we're all pretty much around the same age. I'm like 51, so I'm probably about the same age as Joe. And the 80s was very weird, you know. Like I said, I've said several times, I grew up in California, and everything was really cliquey. My high school, I was into freestyle. I had a lot of buddies that surfed. I had a lot of buddies that rode skateboards. We all hated each other outside of school, but we all ate lunch together. So, I mean, I don't understand why dog nuts don't understand that. Like, I don't care about your lifestyle, but do you have to be so hostile about it because I disapprove of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it's a totalitarian mindset. They want everyone else to essentially take on their interest. But, you know, it's one of the few things where, you know, it's not just legal, but socially acceptable to impose yourself on others, right? Because dogs really are so offensive, you know, particularly with the noise polluting, you know, aggravated assaults and so forth, right? They can actually, you know, get away with that. So it's almost like saying, hey, you don't like surfing? F you, you're going to go surfing. You're going to carry a surfboard everywhere, whether you like it or not. You peasant. Like, who do you think you
shove it down
are?
your throat.
Yeah, but I'm gonna beat you with a surfboard. I'm gonna beat you. But that's, so, you know, the way they are. They really, you know, feel they have the right to, you know, impose their way of life on everyone else. Like I said, it's a totalitarian mindset. I mean, you know, it's a religion and a political movement, and it's a totalitarian one. In a lot of ways. One way is, you know, you can't speak out against it. That's why, you know, these chats are so taboo.
No, I mean, you're spot on. You're spot on, and that's why they try to bring them everywhere. That's why they're slowly trying to bring them everywhere, so you just get used to seeing them there, and you don't say anything.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're trying to normalize, you know, dogs and everything, and it's not even like, we've discussed this before. I mean, you know, everybody has their likes and dislikes. I mean, we're talking about cuisine. You know, we were talking about what's your favorite food? You know, what do you like? And my thing was, actually, and I brought this up in that video, you know, I love Japanese hibachi. You know, where they cook it on the table. You know, they have these tables where the center of the table is a cooking surface, and he cooks it right there. I've always been nuts about that stuff. But going back to what I was saying earlier is that, you know, it's really only good if it's special, right? Like if it's a once in a while kind of thing. If I were to eat nothing but that, well, probably in 3 months I'd starve to death because I wouldn't like it, right? Kind of like the Yule and Meat Festival. Like, it really shouldn't run year round because then it would not be as special as it is. Okay. But that's the thing, is they want dogs in everything, everywhere, all the time. Everything, it's dog this and dog that and dog. And nothing should be, forget about dog free. Everything has to be about dogs. Everything has to have dogs in it. there's no other priority of any kind ever. And it's just, even I would think, even somebody who likes dogs, don't you get sick of this? Like, come on. Like, how much of this can people take? But that's their attitude. It's like, yeah, they want to inject dogs into every aspect of public and private life. And that's really where the pushback is going to come from, I think.
Yeah, because they also make it. Sorry, go ahead, Johnson.
Oh, no, I dropped my phone. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, not only do they want to inject dogs everywhere, like grocery stores and restaurants, but they also try to make it seem like anybody who doesn't approve of that is Hitler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I think that's one way. See, like I said, it's a proselytizing religion, and they want to smoke out the heretics, right? So if you're having a root canal and they bring a dog in, you're thinking like, and if you didn't think be a dog hater, it's like, look, I'd really not like the dog. In the room when I'm having my, jaw drilled out, they're like, aha, we got you now, you hater. You're exposed. You're done. You're finished.
No, I think they're only going to get mad once you get young Japanese girls. They're trying to shove puppies in their mouth on video to try to eat them live. I think that's the only time we can get crazy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I want to not really change the subject, but this came up today. Oh, this is a good one. Everybody's going to love this. Can you see this? Allows first dog into labor ward.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
God.
Talk about a participation award. They're saying like, yeah, Staffordshire Bull Terrier helped, let me zoom in on this, helped her owner, helped how? What did
by pulling the baby out by its foot.
I guess. Somebody brought up, I don't know, who was it who brought it? Was it somebody in the disc? Because we were talking about this in the Discord. It's like, okay, how many like deliveries have been postponed due to the absence of a dog? It's like, no, don't push. Fido's not here yet.
Oh man, this is gonna sound bad. Well, they always attack babies by the head, right?
Yep.
Oh gosh.
That's
What's
all
the
I'm gonna
best way?
say.
Lou, it's got to come out by the head. Fido can only grab them by the head.
That's
But
it.
talk about when we make this stuff. I mean, this is really dark humor, but is there any better kind? But talk about a participation award. Everybody's like, yay, Fido helped deliver a baby. He didn't do shit. He was in the room. But he didn't do anything.
He was waiting for a fresh meal. That's what he was waiting
Yeah, exactly. He was waiting for some fresh food. Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming.
Oh, fresh baby, yes.
It's like, yeah, DoorDash. I ordered from DoorDash. DoorDash, can you like deliver an infant? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, this was the other thing too. So this dog gets a participation award for like being there. Like, I don't know. It's like, you could drop a rock on the floor and say, I mean, probably the best thing you'd say about it was the dog didn't cause a problem. Like, it didn't actually interfere or injure anybody. But this is a hospital, too. And, one issue that came up was, it's an ultra sterile environment. They're still enforcing. You have to wear masks. You have to wear gloves. You have to wear, caps and gowns and wash your hands and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and okay. But if you want to bring in your like drooling, like turd cannon, sure, go ahead. Nobody cares. It's perfectly fine. Right. And I'm thinking, why have hygiene rules at all if you're going to allow this? It serves.
Well, it's sudden noise. It's probably going to go off and maul everybody in the room.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like, where's it? What about all the other women delivering babies in this ward at the same time? Like, where's it? Did they consent to this? They're like, yeah, I don't want a shit beast because okay, this person is clearly a nutter, but not everybody else is. Like who wants it, or even the other family members, the dads. Do you want a shit beast present when your kid is being delivered? It's like, maybe not.
Being a father, that has to be the scary. I could not imagine someone bringing a pit bull in. I mean, I had to wear a security tag on my wrist to be identified with my son in case something happened to him and the mother was asleep. I'm just like, how, I don't even know how you, with all those security reasons, why would you let a dog in there?
Yeah, particularly a dog like that. Well, that was the other thing that came up too, because I commented on this. Because this is in the UK. In the UK, you know, their Dangerous Dog Act, they banned multiple bully breeds. Now, of course, people have been circumventing that because it's a problem with just going after a handful of dog breeds is. Well, there's a lot of problems, but people, they just, you know, switch over to another brand of murder mutt, right? So I posted something, I could bring that up, but so I posted something. I said, like, isn't this a banned shit bull, at least in that jurisdiction? And somebody piped up, and this was on the banned pit bulls Reddit. They're like, no, you're wrong, right? It's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And I'm like, ugh. Even he's like, fuck you. It's a fucking pit bull, right? It's a pit bull. So, okay, it's like 0.0001% different than some other shit beast on the list, on the blacklist. It's a pit bull. Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Talk about that, you know, that's why. So now, but the thing is, it's not just the pit nutters playing the breed ID game. It's these asshole adept motherfuckers who like, oh, let's ban pit bulls. Oh, but a dog that's like just 1/1,000,000th of 1% difference, no problem. It's perfectly okay. I hate these people. I hate them. Oh, they're just awful. But
have you been seeing what we said was going to go on? They started all those pit bull bans, removing them in Canada, and slowly pit bull attacks are sliding the chute up. Well, and nobody seems to notice it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that what happens is, you know, when you ban, it's all about branding. So when you ban pit bulls, what happens? Well, they don't get rid of them. It's not like, yeah, if they rounded them all up and, you know, turned him into Pitbull Primavera, that would be one thing, but that's not what happens. What happens is they get rebranded as something else. So they're Staffordshire Bull Terriers, they're lab mixes, they're bulldog crosses, they're whatever, right? They just get rebranded as something else. So really nothing actually changes. It's just that the whole branding is different. And I don't know, why does that matter to anybody? It's like, who cares, right? It's a pit bull. They're all pit bulls.
That I don't know if you guys have ever watched that interview with Kenneth Phillips. He was interviewed by this turd host online because the last remark he made was just out of pocket. It had nothing to do with pit bulls and people, like, you stupid shithead. But anyway, I digress. He said that all the talking points he had, because he had heard everything, he's an attorney, and everybody's trying to attack him like, I went to law school briefly. Like, do you understand what it takes to go to law? Like, it's all theories and all has to be based on facts. You cannot go to court and say, well, judge, I believe, well, I think. No, because it's got to get backed up by actual facts, or the judge is going to toss your ass, in your case, right out of court. So that's the whole point. They're not even looking at that.
Because if they use facts, that's going to make them look bad.
Yeah.
Don't put on no facts on them. We don't want no facts.
You and your fucking facts.
Yeah, every time I drop facts on you, you should see how quickly my debates end. Like, and it's like I don't start and I just go off on them, and then by the time I turn around, I'm like 8 sentences in, and they're nowhere near where I'm at.
Well, using facts and logic is unfair.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. It's like cheating on a test. I've got all the answers.
Yeah.
It's like cheating on a test by studying.
Yeah.
Exactly. Suckers. You failed. Oh, God. I was a straight A student. What were you? Jackass.
Well, this is just terrible. Look at this. but it's like a Stafford. I've thought of like a bull terrier. They had those really like strange looking dome shaped skulls. But man, I am so tired of the breed ID game. But even the pro BSL people will play that game because once they got their half-ass pit bull ban in place, they're like, oh yeah, well, Junior didn't get killed by a pit bull. He got killed by a goat munching Michiganian Mastiff. And it's like, I just want to throw something at them. Like, I mean, I understand. Yeah, I understand, the breed genetics matter, it's a big factor in these outcomes. But like, why are they even allowing these things in there at all? Look at this. Look at that. There he is too. He's like, tasty baby. Look at those eyes. That is a pit bull. It's got that big block head. He's got, see my mouse pointer. He's got this crack in his head. Big, ugly butt head. It's like, that's a pit bull. And you can call it whatever you want. That's a pit. That is a fighting dog. It's a pit bull. It's a pit bull. Pit bull. But, there's another one. See, there it is again. And it's assistance dog. What does it assist with? Like ripping the faces off of little kids? Is that the assistance the dog is meant to perform?
And they know that's a pit bull, just like they know that their dog isn't a real service dog. It's just they're testing to see what they can get away with. And
exactly.
Most of the time they do.
Yep.
Well, that's what Ken Phillips said, and I messed myself up when I was trying to explain that to you. And yeah, I know Animal on Control said he saw it, but what he said is that these people they run around with these theories about these dogs, but they're not really paying attention to what they're saying. They're talking themselves out. Like the guy who even came up with the Schaffer American, he made that up to register his pit bulls. So on the whole basis of the name, its inception was used as a lie. So everybody after that is just using it as a lie after him. Like, oh, he made a good enough play with this, so I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah. No, look, it's not a pit bull. It's a cat culling Coloradan cur.
Anything you can call it, but what it's not supposed to be, which is a killer.
And of course, if something happens, well, it's just like, it was an unavoidable accident, or the kid provoked him. He didn't show look, this kid was 3 days old, but he didn't show Fido the proper respect. That's how it happened. You got to change him. From the minute the kid's born, everybody has to be trained from the second they're popped out. How to respect a dog, how to act around them. That's really the only thing of any consideration ever. You don't need to learn anything else, like how to prepare a meal or read or write. All you need to know, it's like everything. Everybody has to be trained 18 hours a day, 7 days a week on how to act around dogs. So, but anytime there's a bad outcome, it's all training. Training of who? Us, the two-legged cretins. That's who needs the training.
The wordplay, now that I think about you said that, and it's been hitting my brain so many different ways. When did it come us training them to them listening to us and being our subservience to us being trained to be around them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it used to be it's like the dog was expected to behave, but now we are.
Yeah.
We're the problem.
Yeah, we're the problem,
Well, then get rid of dogs then.
Yeah, well, no, we got to get rid of Pete. We got to get rid of Pete. We're the
what?
Yeah, no, we get rid of Pete. Which, of course, figure out how does that work? Like, how do we have dogs in society if there's no society?
AI teams up with dogs and they annihilate us. Rover falls in love with Broomhilda, and then they wipe out the earth of human beings for mutts.
What was the other thing that came up? Let me close that out. Yeah, the participation award, but it's all circular because what this is, it's all about, building the narrative, typically using circular reasoning. Because now they're going to say, it's like, well, dogs are essential for delivering human babies. Like, aren't you glad you were born alive? Well, thank a dog, right?
Oh, God.
Thank a dog.
Yeah, run the doctors out, throw in the pits.
Yeah, get rid of the dogs, or get rid of the doctors and the nurses and bring in the dogs. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, Pibbles.
And not just any dog, but they're nanny dogs, right? So that's what we need. We need to fire all the human workers in these maternity wards and bring in the pit bulls. That'll make everything better.
I'd want to bring in my...
The decretion of human beings has now begun.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll replace everybody with dogs. I mean, look, they talk about, even the whole nanny dog thing came to my attention. I said, what's interesting about that is, they debate that, like pit bulls are nanny dogs. Like, no, they're not. No, yes, they are. No, they're not. I'm like, look, dummies, no dog can be a nanny dog. Period, right? Because, nannying for real requires, it's not rocket science, but it requires, activities that can only be performed by a human being, such as, cooking meals and cleaning up after, changing diapers, helping with homework, driving cars, right? Dogs can't do those things. Ergo, there's no nanny dog. Period, right? But the thing is, only somebody, again, low IQ, low maturity level, would believe that shit about any dog, much less something like this. But they believe it, They think, oh, yeah, Fido's a nanny dog. But that's what is being expressed or reinforced here. They're saying, literally, look, this dog helped deliver this baby. It's literally a nanny dog.
Oh God! The only thing you could do with a dog when it comes to a nanny is cheat it when you want to pay it. Give it some treats, and it's too dumb to understand it didn't get paid. That's the only thing it's good for. Not anything else. It's not going to change. It'll eat the diaper, and everything else along with the baby.
Well, look, eating poop out of diapers doesn't really count as changing, but as I say, like, look, the nanny needs to help with the kids with their homework, like not pee in the homework. I remember, but that was sort of like one of the comic excuses. Like, where's your homework? Well, the dog peed on it,
Eat the baby instead of feeding the baby.
I have to head out, but it was really great talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah, you too, guys.
All right.
Thank
Later,
you.
Chef. Sure, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hold on, I'm going to stop the share. All right. So I'm kind of fading myself. It's been a long week. Figure that chat on Tuesday kind of drained the life out of me. You folks have, I know Darkcastle, you and I need to talk about dogs in parks, but I don't think I have the stamina to do it today. Maybe we could set it up for next week. But I like to explore aspects of this that don't get covered that often. Actually, speaking of that, actually, I do have another topic. We can go over this. Hold on. Let me see if I can bear with me. Let's see. No, I don't want that. Maybe it was in this one. Dog. I wanted to talk about dog poop. Because that's an aspect of this that, oh, here we go. Let's see if I can share this. I'm going to share, hold on. You know, I don't know if all you folks are familiar with Nextdoor. It's a social media site where you can connect with neighbors. And of course, it should be called Next Dog or perhaps Dog Door, because half the posts are dog related. So you see the Discord?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if we can zoom in on this. How do I zoom in on this? Well, I don't know if you can read this, but if I open up, just say I opened up this window here, it says, since 90% of the posts on Nextdoor are complaints, I have 2 of my own. Dog owners in North Beach, please do not put your poop bags in other people's garbage cans. The garbage collectors in this area take the garbage bags out by hand. They do not to take the poop bags. I don't blame them. So the poop bags are left in the trash can to ripen. And of course, their second complaint is this first one. Dog owners, please do not put your poop bags in other people's trash bins. The yard collectors should not have to navigate around your dog's poop. Be respectful, discard at your own property. But this is this is just in my immediate area. This isn't national news or anything like that. This is basically my neighborhood. So there's another one. This woman writes, please stop throwing your personal trash and dog poop in our construction dumpster. Had to empty it twice due to the amount of trash from people in the neighborhood, etc., etc. Our house burnt down and we are rebuilding. Every penny counts, including the ones we are wasting to have to pay for this dumpster to be emptied more frequently. So that's actually they hear that complaint a lot, is people scoop the poop, but they put it in neighbors' trash cans. But I don't want dog shit in my trash can, particularly if the garbage collector's not going to take it. So it's another, element of their entitlement. So, and here's another one. Neighbors, please pick up your dog's poop when you are walking them. Unpicked poop is left on my driveway and sidewalk multiple times. And of course, here's a dog person, we have to watch. It's just saying too, is walking our own dogs. We have to constantly watch where we and our pups step, especially at night when one of us ends up with something nasty stuck to a shoe or a paw. Not fun.
Oh.
And it goes on. So here's a photo. Somebody posted a photo of a big steaming pile left on their yard. So here's another one. Somebody's complaining. You missed the neighbor's dog pooping in your yard. Over here, the dog walkers are from the development or from outside it. Yep, come here. He's being sarcastic. Yep, come here. Bring your dog to poop. Ignore the poop bag stands situated around. And of course, this got put up. You want to start a free yoga class? Start by bending over and picking up your dog shit, known as the downward dog position.
I love that. That's something I would do.
Yeah, and this is just in my immediate neighborhood. Oh, here's another one. But of course now, the Mutt Matrix is fighting back. They're not going to put up with this because you peasants, look, your yard is there for their dog to shit in. Okay, that's why it's there. You pay for it, you maintain it, and my dog gets in it, right? So here it says, okay. So here's this person, this Jeff is saying, I'm sure none of us have never been overcome with a need to get to a restroom ASAP. So do us all a favor. Again, he's being sarcastic. and make sure you confine all your bowel movements to your own bathrooms. And don't you ever use this is like so loaded with logical fail. Only a dog nutter can load this much fail into one paragraph. That isn't yours when at work, while traveling, or visiting elsewhere. We just can't have any of that. This is okay. So he's saying this whole, complaining about neighbors' dogs shitting all over your yard. It's just ridiculous, right? Why would anybody have a yard for any other reason than for neighborhood dogs to shit in it, right? That's the point he's trying to make. But he's saying it's like, okay, there's a big difference between, say, using the toilet on an airplane or a gas station or at your office restroom, right? Where you crap in a bowl and flush it on one hand, and the other hand, you just walk into your neighbor's yard and take a shit there. Those are two very different scenarios, right? It's a false equivalence. So again, Jeff, they use bathrooms, not doing business on your own lawn. Big difference. But he's like, oh, well, he retreats a little. But, an animal will poop when the need arises. Well, it's like, okay, dogs are supposed to be so smart. Fido can't hold it for 5 minutes. Like, come on. It's like, yeah, when I'm like grocery shopping and I feel the urge come on, I don't think, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to take a shit right here in the eye. Isn't that what everybody does? It's like, no. It's like, you know what? If dogs are going to be in society, they need to adhere to human standards. It's like, okay, maybe you need to hold it for a couple, unless you're like really sick or something. You have like amoebic dysentery, perhaps. But no, it's like, this is antisocial behavior. Right. So anyway, the Mutt matrix strikes back, but then, okay, and here it is again. Here's this other dog nutter person. And here, try to find all the logical fails here. So when I let my dog out this morning, what did I find? Poop, deer poop, turkey poop. Where are the poop police when you need them? So as usual, we went to Central Park to take our morning stroll aside other blah, 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 blah. And they said, of course, and there's trash on the ground because, right, that's what I think. It's like, hey, there's cigarette butt there. You know what? I'm just going to drop my pants and take a shit because there's already shit on the ground, right? It's like, I'll just add to it. Talking about logical fails, right?
Sounds like cart nurse.
Joe, and this other person agrees. But I said, well, here's the fail here. It's like, yeah. This area it's a suburban county, but, we have a lot of natural areas. I live adjacent to one. I get, deer and wild turkey in my yard also. And yes, sometimes those things take a shit, right? But the thing is, those are wild animals that are part of the natural environment, okay? There's a big distinction to be made between that on one hand and a domestic shit beast that's in custody of a human owner, okay? Now, if you were to, say, compare turkeys, it's like this one hand you got a wild turkey, but on the other hand, maybe you've got a neighbor who has a turkey farm. Yeah, if he were to bring all his turkeys to your property to take a shit, that's kind of a dick move, right? But there's a big distinction to be made between that and a wild animal as part of the natural environment. I think these people know that. This is kind of like it's similar. It's the same mindset behind the barking dog bingo BS. They know it, right? It's like, yeah, bringing your domestic animal into another person's space to drop a deuce is a dick move, period. Okay. But yeah, some people are agreeing, but we had this person. Now the anti, like somebody on our side is like striking back. Listen to what this guy had to say. Taking your dog to poop in someone else's yard is an act of aggression. Way to go. And you should be confronted each time. Dog owners certainly don't want the poop in their own yards, which is why they walk their dogs. Exercise excuse is just a BS. LOL. And of course, this person, I'm going to assume you're not a dog owner. Yeah. So what?
Well, it's funny that they're attacking each other. That's one part of the situation we've never looked at. The equation of the good nutters and the crazy nutters, and they clash all the time.
Yeah.
Just like this, like, oh, you don't pick up your shit? Well, it's my dog. It's what it's supposed to do. Well, yeah, you're supposed to clean up after it too. You're supposed to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
What's that story? And then you just look on their faces when they still walk away not picking it up.
Yeah. Well, even if they pick it up, there's another aspect to this that, you know, many of these communities are HOAs. You know, that they're locked up by an HOA, and I'm sure probably some of you folks know, but just for the folks listening, you know, an HOA is a homeowners association, and it's a private organization that has limited governing authority over a neighborhood, right? So when you buy into one of these neighborhoods, you're agreeing to abide by the standards set by the HOA. Right. And they collect dues. And I know for services, you know, they'll maintain common areas, particularly if the common areas include swimming pools, tennis courts, fitness centers, clubhouses, and so forth. Right. But they do set down some fairly strict rules, particularly pertaining to how you maintain or keep your property. Right. Like you have to trim your hedges, mow your lawn, keep your house up. They'll even set there's only certain colors you can paint your house, for example, right? Now, my neighborhood does not have one. In fact, I selected this neighborhood. One of my must-haves was that it be an unlocked neighborhood. In other words, there'd be no effective HOA because they can be a nightmare to deal with. But I've read this many times, and I've even known people personally. What'll happen is that neighborhood dogs, well, they will piss and shit, but even when the owner picks up the shit, the dog piss, particularly from a large dog, is very toxic. It'll kill a small patch of grass, right? So the dog pisses there, and now you've got, you know, a circle of grass, you know, brown or yellow grass there. It's like basically killed the plant life. So what happens is, so now the HOA, because you know, say you have to keep your lawn up to a certain standard. So they'll fine people for that. And I know people have said, like, I don't have a dog, but I get fined for these yellow urine patches from dog piss, from neighborhood dogs pissing on my lawn. So basically, I'm being held accountable for this. That's another reason why I don't want to live in one of these places. And often what happens is they'll complain. It's like, look, my property is being damaged by these, you know, neighborhood mutts. And the HOA doesn't do anything about that because, you know, they've been converged or they've been, corrupted by these, you know, dog nutter interests. Right. So they'll fine you for having these yellow patches or even piles of dog crap on your lawn, even though you don't have a dog. They'll say, look, it's your yard. It's your responsibility. You have to take care of it. But what about the responsibility of the dog owners? Maybe they should be fixing all these problems. But no, nothing's ever their responsibility.
Well, it's dominant.
The easiest way that you know that they know what they're doing is a dick move is I've noticed, like, sometimes if I'm like in a corner lot or something and a lot of people are walking their dogs there and leaving dog poop, if I put up a camera in a really conspicuous way that they can see it, they stop doing it so much.
Yep. Yeah, it's good info. It's a good idea. You know, you put up a sign, it's like, you know, being video monitored. So
exactly.
Because yeah.
Well, I had a girlfriend who had a house, and well, I don't know what she is, but anyways, she has a little house in LA, And I went to the Dollar Tree, the local Dollar Tree, and I got one of those cute signs that said, "Hey, please pick up after yourself." You know what some asshole did? They came and took the sign.
Jeez.
Like, I'm like, it was a Dollar Tree sign. Like, why would what kind of asshole does that?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm just gonna take the sign. Ha, see how cute that is. What a jerk.
What kind of asshole? Well, a dog cult asshole, probably.
That's probably exactly what it was too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe there's not a definite causal link there, but it's the same kind of personality type we're talking about. But yeah, it's always good to get into some of these lesser issues, but it kind of goes to the point that, you know, these animals in society, of course, I mean, animal means dog, right? It just creates, and next door, I mean, this is just a sample. It's just loaded with this stuff. It just goes on and on and on. Even that's how I know, because I monitor this. You know, we have at-large dogs, dog attacks, dog barking, dog crap everywhere. It's just dog, 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 dog. There's no end to it. And it always involves a dog. Like, nobody's complaining about gerbil poop in their yard or cats barking. It's always a dog. It's always a dog, right? It's a dog, 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 dog.
Well, the other reason why you're not going to have any poop is because that vacuum cleaner is going to come and eat it up.
The dog will eat all the other animals' poop.
Yeah, you won't have to see it.
Well, that's a good thought too. It's like you get deer poop. It's like, yeah, Fido will scarf that up. You know? Yum yum.
Ugh.
I used to tell you, you know, with the horses, it's like, you know, my parents' horses. It's like, yeah, the lab particularly just loved that horse poop. It was like ice cream to that dog. Yum yum.
What? You gotta have a stomach from hell to try to break down poop in your stomach. I mean, you know, how do you digest that?
Oh God. Well, it probably most of the time it either passes through with no nutrients being absorbed or it gets puked up. You know, they'll eat anything. It's insane. Man.
Like, also,
sorry, Joe, you were saying something.
Sorry, Johnson, go on.
Oh no, I said it's not. Glad it's not me. That's all I said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I was regarding this poop topic. Also, like, every time I hear this, it just reminds me of something that AAiH always says, that you know, that dog nutters, that they're actually very close to cavemen. And I also, like, at the beginning I didn't really understand what he meant with that, but I think now I actually understand, you know, that imagine that even the fact that we have to deal with this, you know, that we have to deal with, like, this shit topic, literally. That isn't that somehow weird? I mean, it just shows that these people, they're just some kind of, they're just on a, it really is like a caveman thing, you know, like the dirt, you know, the bad smell and the fur and the parasites and everything. It really just makes you think of like some Neanderthal people, like 3 million years ago, that are just obsessed with these things and who want to live under these conditions, you know, the filth and all that. And it always irks me a little bit. I think that would really be an interesting topic to, you know, for a psychologist to actually look into. That it's just such a weird mindset, and now everybody else has to deal with it too, you know, like we all have.
Well, that's one way they impose themselves on others. Like, you're thinking, how do we get on this shit topic anyway? You know?
Well, you know, and Joe brought up a good point there. That is just And to have that thing licking your face is just, oh my God.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just,
That's also,
oh,
like that always reminds me of, like, imagine how cave people lived. I mean, they were lying around in caves at night, and they probably had their dogs, like, right next to them as well, so they would be protected from bears or whatever, like saber-toothed tigers. And I wonder really if this sleeping with dogs is really some kind of a prehistoric thing that is still somewhere in our brains, and they just live it out. They just have to indulge in it. The
Lizard.
dog
yeah,
muffins.
share the smell,
Yeah, exactly.
the share
Well,
the
the dog
aroma. And
nuts, here's the thing though, the dog nuts will argue. It's like, well, yeah, it's like burned into our DNA, which makes it okay for us to do.
Yeah, well,
And that brings up a good point again, Joe, to sidebar on something else about that, on this zoophile behavior. Then what sick person decided it was okay to go out in public and so-called kiss your mutt or have it lick you all in the face, and then that becomes, the common thing, like, whoa, look at how much it loves her. No, look at how
Yeah.
much it's begging for food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably licking crumbs or food residue off the face.
yeah.
They're like, yeah, you just had like some eggplant parm. Tastes good.
More like genital palm.
Ugh.
Nice ass sauce for your face. Hey, let me lick it up for you. Okay.
Ugh.
Oh boy.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the dog crap thing is yeah, it's an interesting topic, and it causes, but it just goes to the point. It's like, these things in communities just creates endlessly escalating conflicts for all these reasons. Now, of course, if you go to next door now, maybe I'll shift gears because, happy Independence Day, dogs, but you also see, if you go to next door, like over the next few days, it's going to be flooded with people begging, please don't shoot off fireworks because my dog hates listening to them. And I'm thinking that is that has to be literally like Olympic class irony, because you have these animals that just endlessly noise pollute, but they're begging people not to noise pollute because the noise polluting animal doesn't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
And it's just so, and it always goes to they always point, and it's actually part of their social and political agenda. They always point to something else, because like in my state, fireworks are only legal 3 days per year, 3 out of 365. On the other hand, dogs can bark 365 out of 365. But okay, what's the well, let's ban fireworks. Yeah, that'll make everything so much better. That'll lower the noise level so much.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, being in California, that is one thing that I love our Latin neighbors for, because Hispanic people love shooting off fireworks for anything. And these dogs, boy, they'll start barking, and then the big bangs and booms will go off, and it's silent for hours. Like I said, it's their new favorite holiday. Like, I'm gonna buy me a big bang box just to shoot that thing off, just to add to the chaos, just for the hell of it this year.
Well, I mean, if you can get away with it, normally.
You can get away with it out here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it all depends on the county. Like, I'm in San Bernardino County. I'm not in LA County. So if I was in LA County where I used to live, oh, please, man, they'd have a helicopter, the SWAT team, and everybody else on my ass, because, they think I'm going to set off, which is a funny, quick side story. One year I was at a girlfriend of mine's house. She lived in the Hollywood Hills, and I was young and stupid. So she had a flare. So I'm like, well, what the hell? So I shot it off. Boy, I had like 6, 7 helicopters flying over the area because I was shooting a flare off. It was not the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, we had near me. We had, so some people make homemade fireworks because the legal stuff is pretty weak sauce. But there was, and I didn't appreciate this. There was a guy or I was a man, it might have been a woman, north of me here, that was making homemade mortars. And this was unbelievable. So you'd hear this stuff, not like military, but like, fire. So there'd be this huge flash, right? Just this tremendous flash. And then about a half a second later, this enormous boom, right? And so people would come out of our homes are like, be looking like, what the flying fuck was that? And I don't know, but I don't know if the sheriff found him or what, but you know what? Anything's better than a barky mutt. I'd almost rather have somebody with that. The thing with stuff like that, with say fireworks, is they cost money. You run out of them. But when you're converting dog food into noise, there's literally no end to it ever. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while. I don't know. I know the police were trying to find him. Somebody was writing even on Nextdoor this stuff. It had such a blast that some woman was complaining that it would literally it shook the windows on her house. Like the whole house shook from the blast from this thing. And obviously, and somebody was arguing, it's like, oh, those are legal. I'm like, there's no way something like that is legal. It can't be. But people, you can make stuff. Making homemade explosives is not difficult. So
Don't
even
give me ideas.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
give me
I don't
ideas,
know
man.
what this guy was doing, but yeah. So you see this. I remember you see there'd be this huge flash, like almost like a lightning strike, right? And then, boom! And I'm sure that neighborhood dogs did not appreciate that.
Oh, they didn't. Thank God for that.
I think
Well,
that would be
it's gotten to the point where, not to cut anyone off, where we derive our pleasure from seeing them just as much in displeasure as we are in.
I guess. I mean, I don't like to be in that place, but it goes back to the conversation the other day. Is like, you can't help it. You can't, because it's like, these people, they make everyone else miserable. I mean, even kill people and just get away with it. So when they get theirs, yeah, there's something definitely satisfying to it, very much so. You can't help it. And maybe it is the right thing, because there's, part of where I'm coming from, it's a sense of justice, it's victims advocacy. And there's so little of that in this space. So even if you just get it in a way like that, it's like, I mean, you just take what you can, I guess. It's not ideal, but
Any victory is a victory in this war.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I would say, look, let's, keep it civil, but I'm not saying to do anything, but you know what? It's like, yeah, if something happens, and we were talking about this in the call the other day, like that man in India, who, poisoned the 130 dogs. And, too, it's like, yeah, that he broke the law and he's going to have to answer for that. But I'm sure like a lot of people are quietly cheering because of that just totally dystopian situation that's been created by those, feral dogs everywhere. It's a nightmare. It's a horror movie scenario.
Well, it's ridiculous. What is, and see, this is where, the politics come into play. Where are the politicians protecting the constituents? It seems like in India, they have no say in shit. It's like, you just get to deal with, you just get to shut the fuck up. That's not cool.
That's not cool
at
it's
all.
not cool. But, in a sense, though, like, it's kind of like that in a lot of places. I mean, like here, they kind of pretend to do something about it, but we don't have as big a stray dog population, I guess, not yet. But even a lot of that was the other thing I was looking at. There was an article in Newsweek written by I'm fading fast, but I want to cover this. This reminds me of something. Where was that? It was, I want to look at, hold on. There was that postal worker that was killed in Florida last year. Yes, there was a Newsweek article about her. No, that's not the person. What was that person's name? Let me go to, maybe it's a band Pitbull's Reddit. It was a very heartfelt article. It was written by the brother of this postal worker that was killed by pit bulls. Let's see, where is that? Now I can't find it. Resource guarded. Why can't I find this? No. Bear with me. Roaming the neighborhood. Okay, here it is. I'm going to share this. Let's see. Put down, but I think, yeah, dogs were, okay, can you see this from the band Pitbull's Reddit? There's this Newsweek article. And yeah, Tom Rock is the brother of Pam Rock, who was a postal worker. Talk about horror movie scenarios. Pam Rock was a postal worker delivering mail in Putnam County, Florida, which is a kind of a rural area. And her mail truck broke down. And you got to think about, talk about horror movie scenarios. That is such a common horror movie trope, right? Where the protagonist car, they run out of gas or the car breaks down, and then they're stalked by monsters or a serial killer, right? So that's literally what happened here. So she was, she was blah, 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 blah. So you get into what happened here. So what happened was, let's see. When she was delivering packages when she had car trouble. So it said she called for help and was delivering mail on foot when she was attacked by a pack of 5 large and vicious pit bull dogs. Can pit bulls be identified? Maybe they were Staffordshire bull terriers, like who knows. Hearing her horrific screams, the dog owner and a neighbor tried to help, but could not separate her from the pack. So local EMT responded. Her heart stopped. She was successfully resuscitated. Okay. Special team of doctors and nurses at Shands. So she was helicoptered to Shands. Then they said this is a 5-star medical facility. It's like the same level as the Mayo Clinic. So, like, if you get messed up, you want to go here. So, worked to keep her alive despite savage wounds. Her right leg was amputated. Her right arm was amputated. Her left ear was gone. She had deep bites all over her bodies. So, they were unable to save her. So, Pam's death was not just a bad luck or a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her death was completely preventable, okay? Now, he goes on to say, had any of these 4 simple steps been taken, she would be alive today, right? So Putnam County Sheriff's Department failed to notify animal control or follow up on a seriously injured victim. This was a prior attack 6 months before. The dogs attacked someone else and they required 200 stitches.
Damn.
So you're wondering, why were those dogs allowed to live even after that? Why is this allowed to go on like this? I mean, forget it, but you don't want to ban pit bulls, fine. Can't we at least take out dogs, like individual dogs that are known dangerous? Apparently not, right? So the dogs
only if you do it yourself.
Yeah, I guess. Well, here's a good. The dog's owner had a duty to control his animals. When he realized he could not control them, his duty was to have them euthanized after the attack mentioned above. It was interesting because I read into, I'd vlogged about this case also, and what's interesting was the dog owner he'd actually called animal control and offered to surrender the dogs. He said, please come get them. I can't care for them or control them anymore. And they said no, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So he sort of tried to do the right thing, but so Putnam County Animal Control failed on multiple occasions to enforce the county's dangerous dog ordinance. See, this is why, writing new laws when you don't have a law and order environment is just a waste of time. They're not even enforcing existing laws, right? So the USPS is interesting, had a warning system available to warn and protect letter carriers, but despite the first vicious attack, the animals were never classified as dangerous, right? So it's another administrative fail essentially. So the warnings were never activated. So if the warnings had been activated, she would have known that there was this danger existed in the area, which never should have been tolerated at all, but that's another issue. So, but again, it goes back to, it's like all these agencies are failing at doing their jobs, right? They're not even following existing protocols. So this is where it gets better. The Putnam County Animal Shelter is a no-kill facility, right? Animal control is therefore reluctant to take in dangerous dogs because the shelter is already overflowing with murder mutts that nobody wants. So it just fills up with dogs that are warehoused indefinitely, and they can't deal with these other problems. And of course, the answer to that is it needs to become a yes kill facility. That's what it needs. Yes, kill. Yes, kill them, right? Stop. So their facility was too full for more than a year. So the dogs that killed our sister was already demonstrated to be dangerous were knowingly allowed to roam free.
This is just so ass backwards.
Yep.
These laws just make me so sick.
Well, they have laws in place, but they're not followed. And you could argue they're not.
They get overturned.
Yeah, well, the law should be it should just be Rule 308. If a dog attacks somebody, you just, administer a fatal dose of lead poisoning. And then see, all this doesn't happen. So her death was investigated by the sheriff and the state attorney's office. And this goes back to what I say often, your two most important elections are your county sheriff, okay, and your district attorney. Well, this is state attorney. These investigations revealed a history of violence involving the same dogs and owner in the months leading up to Pam's death. They confirmed the first attack. Neighbors had repeatedly called the animal control office for fear of the animals. And parents were unable to allow their children to walk to the bus stop alone. So what you have here is, these dogs are terrorizing this neighborhood. I mean, think about it. These people have no quality of life. None. They're literally any meaningful existence has been sucked out by this asshole dog owner and his murder mutts, right? And they're allowed to do this. And people think, well, why doesn't somebody just shoot them? They don't shoot them because doing so will get you stay in the Gray Bar Hotel. It's a very difficult. Yeah, well, yeah, they're protected. It's a very difficult, cost, or risk benefit assessment there, right? So the dogs were clear and present danger and been reported to county officials multiple times, but nothing was done to address the problem, right? The only response to the death of her sister, the 5 attacking dogs were finally euthanized. Yeah, finally. After all that, And it's again, it's
All
so
that money wasted.
well, yeah, all the money. Yeah, you're right, because you got all this due process. It just drags on and on. You've got the whole neighborhood. You've got other victims. You've got people sent to the hospital. You've got multiple neighbors complaining about the dogs, and they're just like, oh, nothing gets done, even though something should have been done, even according to existing laws and protocols, right? They did not follow. And you know what? A lot of these, really bad outcomes have a lead up similar to this. The dogs, they're known dangerous. They attack people. There's a avalanche of complaints and nothing is done until this happens. And even then it's not much. What do? Okay, even though the sheriff's detective on scene recommended the owner be charged, it was denied by the state attorney. Okay, a final gut punch to our family. The dog owner walked away with no charges. No one was held accountable. Well, the victim was held accountable. That's what typically happens in these cases. But that's what I'm talking about. These dog people can do whatever they want with no consequences. That's the problem. That's what needs to change.
Wow. So if I turn into a garage proctologist, I go to jail automatically. But, Fido the Wonder Mutt can bite as many people as he wants and gets pass after pass after pass.
Yep. Pass after pass after pass. Yep.
I wonder if we dress up like dogs if we get away with stuff.
I don't know. I mean, though those are furries, I don't know if they're protected, but at least just get a dog. I mean, if you want to kill your neighbor, it's fine. Just get a dog. You'll get away with it.
Yeah.
Sounds about nutter.
Yep. So, yeah, our sister Pam died as much from a failure of leadership as from she died due to canine supremacy. Right, she died. She's a victim of the Mutt matrix because the dog people have corrupted our systems to the point that this stuff is allowed to happen. So it's a failure of leadership. But who's leading this stuff? It's probably either dog nutters or people who are just intimidated by the dog cult and just refuse to do anything. And there's another one. This was there's another woman was killed, actually almost, I think she survived, but yeah, so this problem, it's like, happens, everywhere. I mean, they don't have, I guess, and there's a distinction to be made between a pack of feral dogs and this, because these dogs had an owner, right? They weren't homeless. They weren't feral dogs. They were, someone's pet dogs that were just, frequently running at large and attacking people. So.
Yeah,
That's why I don't like cops. They won't stop. They won't protect you from the dogs, but they'll come after you if you protect yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's anarcho-tyranny. There's lots of protection for the thing, but none from it. So
that's it. I'm glad. And because you guys kept bringing that point up, I had to look up the laws, and even Ken Phillips, because I had to chatting with him too. He's really helpful. Because he's in California too. But I'm glad I'm on the West Coast, because at least the West Coast states, not the down south states, and unfortunately Florida, you don't have this protection either. But at least on the West Coast states, if I see something that could be a potential danger, I can intercede that. Where in other places, the Bible Belt and down south, you basically got to get mauled first before you can react, which I think is
unfortunate. Yeah, because I don't have, I can basically shoot anything that's attacking me, except for this creature on the right here.
Well, in Cali, I have the right to. So if that thing runs up on me, like that dog that came up on me on the street and I popped my knife out on that dude, he knew damn well that his dog was about to get shanked.
Yep.
And I can use whatever necessary possible to protect my life. My life is important on the West Coast, and I'm going to protect it. So as long as I have that law on my side, your dog's fucked.
Yeah, well, you still got to be careful, though, because I've seen cases where even when whatever it was, a shooting or the stabbing was expressly legal, they'll just jack you up on an animal cruelty charge anyway. I'm not saying don't do it. I mean, you know, if you're attacked by one of these things, just do what you got to do. But
I've got a great legal background in my family tree. Please, I'd love to see it.
like,
They
bring
come out
it.
of the
Yeah,
woodwork.
bring it. Well, that's the thing is it would take somebody like, you know, if that happens to really fight back. Yeah, get the DA impeached or recalled. You know, that's the thing to do. So, but yeah, and it's unfortunately it's like this in too many places. So, anyway. Hey guys, we're coming up on 2 hours and my voice is starting to go out. I'm gonna I think I'm gonna stop the share. How about we'll give it another couple minutes? Anybody have anything else they want to talk about real quick? Darkcastle will definitely do that dogs and parks thing, but tonight's not the night, so maybe next week. So
I think I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
You're good. All right. Well, thanks for joining. This is Animal on Control. And as always, people first. Later, guys.
All right, you
Take
guys
care.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Later. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.